Welcome to the fish tank.
Hey everybody, Fishman here. Sorry this video is getting up a little late today, but it has been crazy hot here the last little while. So hot that I actually haven't really had much in the way of any kind of inclination to get down into the shop and do any kind of work. But fortunately, the temperature is broken. It's Friday. This morning I got up, it was actually bearable and nice, so I got down and I decided I was going to build and do the video all at once. And this is something actually I've been intending to try out for actually a little while now. The last while I've been building a lot of air-driven devices, and one that I had built a little while ago for one of the giveaways was a hang-on back filter that was driven by air. And it worked well, but what I wanted to do was increase the amount of water flow I could get through that. And so I did a little bit of research on YouTube, of course, and I came across something that was called an air power lift or a check power lift. And I figured, well, it looked promising, so I figured what I'd do this morning is go down to the shop, knock one off quickly here, and give it a try. So you guys are going to get to see me going through the process here, and you'll get to see it firsthand before I've done any modifications to it. So what I've been doing here so far is I took a 1-inch, this is just clear acrylic, and you can see I cut at the beginning a 45 degree, so that's for when I put the elbow on it. And now what I'm doing is I'm creating a bunch of very tiny holes, 3 rows of, well, you're supposed to use a very tiny bit, but the only one I had is this one, and it is a little old and rusty, and it's actually not going through the acrylic as nicely as I would like, but I wasn't going to go out and buy anything for this. This is just stuff I had laying around. If this works out really well, I will go and find like a 1/16 or a 32nd. Apparently the smaller you make the holes, the better it will work. And then later on I'll test different variations. So what I've done here is I've cut all the holes. I got the little extra bit of stuff that forms when you use an unsharp bit on acrylic, because it tends to melt a little bit. I got that all scraped off. This is going to be where the elbow is going to go, but I'm not going to put that on yet, simply because I want to make sure that this is all going to work before I waste a piece of acrylic. Now this white thing I have here is called Delrin. It's a machinable plastic. It is actually really nice to work with, especially compared to acrylic. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make what's called the pressure chamber for this. This is a small piece. It's going to have, mostly what people do is they just make like a slightly larger chamber and then just silicone it on and pop a little hole in it. But what I want to do, because I want to alter this and change things around, is I'm going to use the lathe, and I'm going to machine it so it has a friction fit. And with the friction fit, then I'll be able to take it apart, put it back together, and I won't have any air leakage. Well, at least that's the plan anyway. So what I've done here is I've put it on the lathe, I've finished off both ends so they're parallel, and then I ran a series of drill bits through it until I got to the final one here, which is a 1-inch bit, and it will give me a nice smooth hole. I do a creep up on the holes that way, because if I just shave off a little bit at the end, I don't end up with any overheating of the plastic. Even though this is Delrin, it will expand and you could get a slightly less fit. So here I'm going to do is I'm just going to part this off, and then I'm going to put both pieces in and machine the ends so that they have a good tight fit. And then what I need to do is create the air chamber. So once I have 2 pieces and they're all finished nicely, I will ream one out, or use a boring bar I guess I should say, and widen the hole so I'll end up with a nice cavity of air around the acrylic where all those holes are. And it'll be easier to see once once I start putting this together. But it's what it should do then is as the air pump pushes air into the system, it should form a slightly pressurized area evenly around the whole tube, and then it should go through all the holes. Oh, here it is here. You can see it easier now. That's the chamber. and I have created 2 identical ones so that they will fit together, and what happens is it'll create that nice little pocket. Now, because this air pocket should have even pressure all around it, it should have air coming in from all sides on the acrylic tubing. That's why those holes have to be really small, so that it has a chance to do that instead of just, you know, powering in from one side and then a little bit from the other side. But like I said, this is just a test run. I'm going to try it out, see if I can get actually any kind of increased airflow. And then later on, if I like this style, I will, like I said, go and buy a much finer bit and a newer and sharper one. And then what I'll be able to do then is test it out and see if I can actually get a really good lift. So here is all I've done here is the last piece I just took off. I had reamed it out and set it to a depth, and then because I just switched out pieces and put them in without changing any of the settings, I can just ream this out to the same depth without having to worry about any changes in shape, size, and all that sort of stuff. That's just machining nonsense, so don't worry about it. You don't really need to know any of that. You can actually probably do this quite easily with you know, a piece of acrylic, handheld drill, a slightly larger piece of tubing, and then just drill the tiny little holes. Doesn't have to be even. I'm just being kind of anal about this, I suppose, because like I said, I want to be able to take it apart and alter it and change things. But if you're just going to build one just for your home use, just like I said, hand drill it, use a slightly larger piece of tubing, silicone it all into place, and it should work just fine. I will be testing this out to see if that sort of thing is true or not. So here we go. I have the 2 pieces. All I need to do now in one of them is drill a hole to fit the airline tube that's going to go in. Like I said, it has a nice tight fit this way, and because it has a nice tight fit, I don't need to use any glue or sealant of any kind. It should be able to hold the pressure and not have any leakage. The funny thing is here, normally what I do when I make these things is I just take a piece of regular, this is 1/4-inch tubing, and then I just sand it down. I actually put this on the lathe because, well, I had it out and I was using it. I figured I would make it as tight as possible, and it was kind of actually hard to get in, but I don't think I'm going to get any leakage this way. So here we are. It's going to fit together, and that is how the chamber is created. Now all I'm going to do is put the elbow on it, and then put an air tubing on this, and we're going to see how it goes. And this is the first time I've ever done this. You'll see as I put this in the aquarium, it is actually dry. I haven't done anything yet to it. I figured why not just show you if it were turn out to be a fail. I wanted you to see that, you know, things don't always work out. And I'm not entirely happy with how it turned out, but it did pretty good. So here it is, nice and dry. Put it in. It's getting the same air pressure as that box filter right there. And it does actually have a reasonably good increase in airflow. Sorry, water flow. That's the important part. This is the system. These are the 3 rack tanks. I've only got this one up and running with fish in it right now. And I have these mystery snails in there. I've hooked up the new lights. They're going to go on that level, but for now, because of all the splashing, I just had it up higher so the lights don't get wet. So there it is, it's running. It's doing quite well. I think I'll do some tinkering with this. If I can improve it, I'll put a video about that. But for the moment, I think this is going to work really quite well for an air-driven HOB. And I will probably be posting that sometime in the near future. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you like this style of video, please like and or subscribe. And what I'll do here is I'm going to end you off with showing you how much suction this has by hoovering the bottom of the aquarium. It had a little bit of detritus because, like I said, it's had snails in it for a couple weeks. Actually, not even a couple weeks yet. It's been running about a week and a half. Hasn't even cycled yet. And then once it is finished cycling, of course, I will start putting different things in this tank. That's pretty good suction. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.